Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. We say the things on here that nobody dare say. Isn't that right? Cougs, Puppy Parsons, all the rest of them, all them lickers. Right, so here we go. Looks like there's a bit of intense beef on social media. Coogan likes to get in there, don't you, Coogan? We his bit of access for all this intense beef. Now, the latest beef is the Cobra. Carl Froch, MBE, Hall of Famer, four-time world champion, British champion, outright, world amateur medalist. Should have gone to the Olympics, but got shafted by judges, like Davey Day did in 2000. But hey ho, they should have been there. We Audley, the Fraudley, Audley, but they weren't. But anyway, here we go. Eddie Hills, the 6-0 Iceman from Billericay, 4 by way of. But there's no footage. Eddie Hills, my pal Carl Froch. Got a bit of beef, haven't they, there? A little bit, I'd say. Eddie there batting it off with straight bat. Didn't he used to open batting for Essex under-19s, but there's no photos, no footage. Didn't he open bowling as well? Steaming into wicket like Bob Willis, hey? You remember when Bob Willis skittled Aussies out? And he got 8 wickets at Eddie when Bowman knocked a century out. Knocked a century up. You remember? But they still had to bowl them out. Well, that's Eddie, innit? Steaming in with like Bob Willis. Only thing is, he never had a full head of hair like the Bob Father, did he? The original Bob Father. Naughty, naughty, Edward. Naughty, naughty. So how did they meet? Well, Eddie was a promoter going nowhere, wasn't he, really, with Darren Barker, Kel Brook, Audley Harrison. Eddie had already got pay-per-view banned. Am I right, Eddie? Who brought it back? The Cobra brought it back. But on your watch, Eddie, on your watch. But Froch brought it back. So Eddie signed Carl Froch, didn't he? When he was with Mick Hennessy. And then Froch out to dry back, looks of it. Froch had to pay Hennessy off. Or it would have been an high court job. So that's what Eddie does, isn't it? Didn't say with Ricky Burns. I think he did same with Darren Barker from Hennessy, although I don't think that ended up in court or in legal action, I don't think. Bellew, he won with Eddie from debut. Neither were Nathan Cleverly. The list goes on, doesn't it? Anthony Joshua were there with Eddie from debut, and he won a world title, but an Olympic gold medalist. He got that by default, though, didn't he? So anyway, let's back up a little bit. Let's reverse up in Mark 4 Cortina. Right. Glenn Johnson was the first fight that Eddie Hills was involved with the Cobra, right? Glenn Johnson. So we're going back now. 2011 summer, about June, I think, was it May or June? Something like that. Might have been June 2011. The Cobra's defending his WBC title against Glenn Johnson, who were past his best, but a tough old customer. He'd just done Alan Green, so done him proper as well. So we've got Glenn Johnson in the Super 6. Carl can't be responsible for the fights he had in the Super 6. They were all tough fights. Back-to-back hard fights. But that's what he's about, isn't he? I mean, we fought Super 6. He'd have Brian McGee and Robin Reed, world champions. Pascal, who went on to be Lenneal light heavyweight champion. Jermaine Taylor, Dirrell, Olympic bronze medalist. So Froch were basically running through everybody, wasn't he? Right. Ran into Kessler, got robbed in Denmark, right? Fair enough. He corrected that down the line. So we've got Glenn Johnson. He'd done him, right? And don't forget he did Roy Jones. Then he lost to Ward. That was with Eddie. So Eddie piggybacking on a tournament that were all to do with him. He's a bit like John Terry running up pitch, innit? Do you remember? When John Terry ran up pitch, got stripped off into Chelsea kit, didn't even play match and ran up pitch. That's like Eddie, innit? Then he got Boutte fight. That was a 2-fight deal with Boutte, but they never took the rematch in Canada because Froch put him on Button Moon and they couldn't get the Apollo mission to go up there to Moon to get him back down, could they? But Eddie spoilt that, didn't he? Nearly. He ran into the ring, didn't he? Did a John Terry, ran into the ring. McCracken went, get out of the ring. Pop, pop, bang. So Eddie made it about him on the night. Put him in with Booty, 13-0, 24 by way of. Eddie, why don't you come out and tell everybody how you really thought that fight was going to go? Because you thought this is Frotcher's last fight here, so I might as well get what I can out of the job. Your words, Eddie. You were running around going, squeaky bum and all that. Well, look what happened. The Cobra ripped up the script. Oh, after that, well, people saying it was a gimme fight. Yusuf Mack probably were the form the Cobra were in. IBF number 5. Cut him down like cheddar cheese. Yusuf Mack did him. Then, well, Sky decided to give him pay-per-view, didn't they? So the Cobra, Carl Froch the Cobra, brought pay-per-view back. You following the story now? All you lot who don't really understand it or might be a little bit too young to remember this. So the Cobra brought pay-per-view back. Yeah, brought it back. 2013, Kessler. Yeah, brought it back in the summer. So after Eddie Hills got it, let's just say, banned from UK because of Audley Harrison on Eddie's watch. So they brought it back. Eddie's still in the mix, getting all his commissions off the Cobra. Then after that, we know, don't we? He had George Groves, who was mandatory. And then they had a rematch at Wembley, didn't we? Everybody knows Carl got millions out of that, didn't he? But Eddie Hills did as well. Eddie, you did all right out of that, didn't you, Eddie? You did all right out of that, son. You know you did. And then we had the Chavez fight. Froch versus Chavez in Vegas. But they couldn't sort the money out, could they? Eddie Hills and Bob Arum, the Bob father. They couldn't sort it out, could they? Between them, their egos got in the way. And the Cobra retired. So Froch earned millions. Eddie earned millions. Maybe not as much as Froch, but you earned, didn't you? Maybe knowing Eddie, probably nearly earned as much. Probably earned even more. So that's where we're at. They had 7 fights, going 6-1. They only lost for Ward, and they couldn't get Ward to Nottingham. So 6-1, 4 knockouts. Out them 7 fights, 6 of them were world champions. The only one who wasn't was Yusuf Mack, but he'd fought for a world title. So he was a good fighter as well. So put him in hard fights, but the Cobra delivered and everybody made money. Right? After that, the Cobra got a job at Sky, didn't he? Right? And obviously, we're there a year, about 9 years were there or something. 8, 9 years. And obviously, they went the separate ways because they won't wear one of them BLM badges, would he? That's his choice, isn't it? I do not the same thing because I believe all lives matter. All right, that's my opinion, but we're not allowed an opinion now, are we? But everybody's lives matters, don't they? Everybody's. So, but you know, some people they make a stand, and that's that. A lot of people these days they'll say, "Well, I don't really want to wear it, but I work there." That's up to them, and everybody's got mortgages and things like that. But the Cobra, you know, he's got piles of cash, hasn't he? Properties, so he owns half of Nottingham, probably owns all Nottingham at the moment. So he can say he's bit, can't he? He's not really bothered what people think when you've got the poke he's got. Good luck to him, he's earned it in ring, hasn't he? But when I listen to him, I think he's took a lot of wax to head. I do, honestly. And I say it as I see it, don't it? He might not agree, but I know when he tells me something. I think he's told me that before, and Clinton Woods does that as well. And it's, I don't know, there's a syndrome for it or a name for it, isn't there? I'm not having a go at them because these people spilt the guts in the ring, didn't they? Massive heroes of mine. The Cobra is Clinton Woods, you know, he put him up there with Gatti and Ward. People like that will spew the guts, Diego Corrales, all them sort of people. Spew the guts in the ring. Even Josh Wales is a big massive hero of mine, and he's only a small weighted guy, isn't he? You know, featherweight type, but they spew the guts, don't they, in the ring? So they're the heroes for me. These guys take punishment. You know what I mean? They take punishment. But the Cobra and Eddie Hills should really be riding off into the sunset, shouldn't they, really? But my argument is this, and I can see Eddie's point of view. He's a very, very busy man, isn't he? And Carl Frotcher's got no use whatsoever for Eddie now, has he? Just like Joshua will have no use. They have a shelf life, don't they? We know what happens, don't we? The promoter puts the arm around them. This is my new best friend. That's what happens. Right? And then once you retire or you lose, it seems to go all the way, doesn't it? It's just the nature of the beast. Do you know what I mean? But it looks to me like if it is true that Eddie's not giving him a drink for getting Joshua to sign with him, Eddie, if you ain't giving him a drink, you're out of order. But your get out was probably, well, look what I did for you, but that's just you all over it. If you said you're going to give him a drink, give him a drink. If you haven't, don't give him one. Who cares? He's got millions. He's got more dough than you, Eddie, probably, because you have to go through all sorts of meetings. If you wanted to get your hands on all your millions, or you'd have to sell your company, wouldn't you? But you're both millionaires, so what's the problem? All right, if you owe him a drink, give him one. If you don't, none. It really bother me, but when you've achieved that much over 7 fights and 3 years together, I think that it shouldn't be like this, should it? Do you know what I mean? What's a phone call? What's a phone call? I'm paying people lip service. What is a phone call? Do you know what I mean? The Cobra works on principle, in my opinion, for anybody who knows him. So, do I like to see him doing interviews going on about it? I'd say let it go now. I'd say let it go, but Carl's stubborn, isn't he? He's one of them, isn't he? But but I don't think it'd be really over money. I think it'd be more of a respect thing with Carl, because he's that type of kid, isn't he? He's one of them that'd have you a game of pool, but not for a fiver. It'd be for the respect. And I've played him at pool. He's a good player. He likes to cover all pockets, bog you down and stuff like that. Yeah, he does, yeah. He likes to do it. I don't like to, he's not a flair player. He likes to plod and put everything all over the place and tie you in knots. You know, one of them blokes you play him and you're like, oh, you know what now? He's snookering me. And then if you're snookering me, you don't like it. But listen, Eddie and him shouldn't be falling out, should they really? That's my opinion. But it is what it is, but it's sad to see. Look, this is how I look at it. When I've been in the Cobra's company, I really said out bad about it. He always defends him. Look, they did good for each other, didn't they? But relationships come to an end. Look at Clinton Woods and Dennis, Big Ron. They earned dough together, didn't they? But the relationships come to an end, don't they? Yeah, like I just said before, and I'll say it to you again. Fighters have a shelf life. So when that fighter retires, that promoter's still going to be promoting, isn't he? And he ain't got as much time for that fighter, whereas before, and I know this, when the Cobra were riding high with Eddie Hills, he'd have been at the top of Eddie's phone on speed dial, won't he? Now he'll be at bottom, but Eddie's probably got 1,000 numbers in his phone. His phone going like that all day. You know, so, and you probably get to see him 4 or 5 times a year. So if he does owe him a drink, he's not going to be able to pin him down, is he? Will it end up in fisticuffs? Nah. Will it? Nah, I don't think it will. But whatever it is they've had this beef over, it needs to end. It shouldn't be like this. Eddie, you should show a little bit more respect to people, though, because I've heard this off a few fighters now, that you just, once the fighters are no good to you, that's it. You don't return Dave Allen's calls, do you, and stuff like that. But there was a time where you were hanging out the back of Dave Allen. Dave, I need you to fight this guy. No, you're going to get floor. They're going to wipe floor with you, but you'll get paid. Listen, that's how they're talking, and that's how these people talk. But it's one of them, innit, with boxing promoters. What have you done for me lately? That's how boxing promoters talk. And that's just how it is. But Anthony Joshua, he's come out, he said what he said, he sent some horrible voice texts. I mean, Cobra, you should put the lot out there now. Now you put that other one out, just put the lot out. Let everybody know what he's really like. Get them put out there, but calling him a prick and all that, blah, blah, blah. Look, you wouldn't have done that when you were tiptoeing around EIS when the Cobra was main man there, and you were just an amateur coming through and going and turning pro and all that. You were like a mouse up there, weren't you, hanging on McCracken's every word and all that. Before you knew where you were, Joshua, you were strutting around there with an entourage thinking you own Sheffield. I seen Anthony Joshua walking near Fountain up Sheffield, near Nando's, with his team and a lot of hangers on. that AKA skins with ponytail, and all these other prats, silly sausages, I call them. You know, like tops like I've got on here, but Under Armour and Anthony Joshua written all over it. And like everybody didn't know who they were. Big 6'6" shabby like that, strutting around in them Under Armour trackies, all matching trackies. All the lot of them, dicks, absolute dicks. You know what I mean? What can you do? Well, going back to Joshua's career, he's been wrapped in cotton wool, hasn't he? Let's have it right. The man's been wrapped in cotton wool. He's not been near anybody, has he? He's not been near Fury. They signed Luis Ortiz to keep him away from Joshua so they could protect him. You know what I mean? It's craziness. Absolute craziness. Joshua needs to stop being a crybaby, in my opinion, but the Cobra told it straight, didn't he? But he's been cancelled, hasn't he? He's been cancelled by Sky. They'll not get on at the zone now. No chance of getting on there. Not while Eddie's well in with the zone, because Joshua would be like, Eddie, how's he on at the zone? So there's no chance there now. And Bricktop and him don't get on, do they? Because he tells it straight, Carl, doesn't he? Well, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, when you've got that kind of poke, you can say what you want, can't you? You can say what you want. But Joshua should basically just shut his pie hole and get on with the fight he's got with Dubois. Forget about what Carl says. Just don't take it to heart. He's giving an opinion. You got flogged against Ruiz. You know it. I know it. The Cobra knows it. Eddie Hills knows it. Everybody knows it. You mind Eddie watering it down, saying when he got caught with a lucky punching fight, you were winning. What's a load of shit? That's like being 1-0 up against Man United and like Bayern Munich in cup final in '99, and then losing 2 goals in injury time. The whistle's still not gone, has it? Do you know what I mean? A bit like Eddie jumping in the ring against Butte when whistle had not gone. You know, trying to make it about him. Do you know what I mean? But what can you do? But it is what it is. But I respect the Cobra, as you all know, for what he believes in, and he says it as he sees it. And that's why his channel's doing good, isn't it? But Eddie Hills, what can we say about him? He just needs to show a bit of tact. You see, these private school kids, right, like Eddie Hills, they've had everything all their life. Privileged, aren't they? They're used to being told, yes, 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 yes. They get everything. Chauffeured to school in a limousine. The full works. But as soon as somebody stands up to them or puts them on the spot, they try to play power games, don't they? I mean, if Eddie's not telling whoppers about his stellar amateur career, he's just basically bullying people, isn't he, and just doing what he wants. Eddie, you're not a gangster. You're not a gangster. You won't last 2 minutes in jail. You'd cry like a baby. You would cry like a baby. But in another life, if I ever saw you in jail, Eddie, I would terrorise you if you behaved in jail like you do out here. But there'd be a queue to get to you in there. And they'll be like small fellas like me, 5'8", 70 kilo. We get something like me come and give you a clip, or come and see you on landing with a jug of water. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like squealing, crying for your mum. That's what would happen to you in prison. Somebody like you who protected Conor Benn 2 years and still doing it to this day. Yeah. You wanted that fight with Eubank to go ahead knowing he failed dope tests. 2 dope tests. You still wanted it to go ahead. All them fans who bought tickets. That's what a shithouse you are, Eddie. You and your mate Calla tried to sweep it under the carpet, didn't you? How many more times have you done that and got away with it? Hey. So it is what it is. But as for you, Coogan, you're embarrassing, aren't you? Them questions you're asking Carl were embarrassing. Every time he put it on you, you went silent. And well, I can see your point. Listen, you're a shithouse, biggest one in media. That's what you are. You've got full access. You've got everybody's ear and you're hanging out everybody's back end. You should be embarrassed. You've been getting away with it for 14 years. But there's a video out there on my channel because there's about 15 gone up, or there's gonna be out over the next few days. They've all been filmed and they're all piling up to come out. Let me tell you this. And all them 15, there's a few of them that are gonna blow the lid. All right, it's needed saying. It needs saying. Oh yeah, and I'm all prepared as well. I'm all prepared for backlash. Cross trainer now, kid. So that's about it, really. Let's have a look. Not really much else to say. I just want to finish off on that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I agree with Cobra on that. 58-year-old man getting knocked about by somebody 30 years younger. Anyway, when's it going to end? And has it got a professional license? That I know it's eight rounds, 2 minutes, but how are they getting that a professional license? Mike Tyson's going to get a loss on his record or something. What is all that about? Spondool, isn't it? The old Bunsen burner. So, okie dokie. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Don't forget to go and look at our sister channel, Porky's International. Oh, you'll like that one this week. Oh my God! Some great stuff on there and more great stuff coming. We've got Barbara the Blade from South Yorkshire coming on. She's a Sheffield United fan. Ooh, season ticket holder. She's going to let rip. So it's all good stuff, in it. Good job I'm not a Sheffield United fan, am I? I'm Liverpool, me, or Donny Rovers. But we're going good, great guns at the moment. We've got Billy Sharp, haven't we? Ex-Sheffield United player, so he'll be on a few quid there, won't he, Billy? He can bang him in, can't he? Okie dokie. Max, give me a ring. All right. Go on, peace out. Big shout out to Frank Smith at Bury, Gary at Welcome Estates, John at Welcome Estates, and Ash next door. Well, I'm up there in Rotherham at the studio. Chesterton Motors. So I hope Ash and Q and Zub and all them boys are all okay. Right. We have a cider now. Sausage and mash. I'm warming up in microwave. And then I think I'm just going to get in close. Go on, booyaka.